Welcome to the conversation with Priya. Today, our guest is Dr. Sandeep Sancheti. Dr. Sandeep Sancheti, known as the Institute Builder, is the Vice Chancellor of SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai. He holds a PhD from the Queen's University and Belfast, UK, after obtaining a BTech from the Regional Engineering College, Warangal, and MSc from Delhi College of Engineering in 1982 to 1985, respectively. Prior to this current position, Dr. Sanchetti was the president of Manipal University, Jaipur, director, National Institute of Technology, Delhi, and director NITK, Surat Khal. He was also served as a director in charge of NIT Tiruvanchpalli, NIT Calicut, School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi, and mentor director of NIT Goa, NIT Pondicherry, and NIT Sikkim. He was also the former president of AIU, New Delhi. Dr. Sanchetti begins his professional career at MBA Engineering College, Jodhpur, as associate professor in the Department of ECE in 1984, and later moved in Malvi Regional Engineering College, Jaipur, as associate professor in 1990. He has published more than 75 research papers in the several national and international journals and conferences. If I'll talk about achievements, to name a few: recipient of the Commonwealth Scholarship and Fellowship under Colombo Plan from the 1982 to 1995. Awards the SCRC Fellowship by DST Government of India in 1998. UKISTRF Award by the British Council in 1999 to 2000. Member of Microsoft Indian Academy Advisory Board. So these are the few achievements. So today, our guest is very great educational. I admire the person, Dr. Sandeep Sancheti. Please help me to welcome in conversation with Priya, Dr. Sandeep Sancheti. Welcome to our show, Conversation with Priya. Thank you for joining in. I would like to ask you a few questions, but before we start, can you tell me something brief about your journey?
Thank you, Priya. I'm very happy to join you, and greetings to all the viewers. I'm Professor Sandeep Sancheti, Vice Chancellor of SRM Institute of Science and Technology, located in Chennai, but we have several campuses and several sister organizations across India. So we have pan-India presence. We are one of the largest university of the country, which is a self-financed and a deemed university with a strength of around over 50,000 and faculty strength of around over 3,000. We are one of the largest. And I'm also a former president of the Association of Indian Universities, a body which is probably 80, 90 years old, and a body which came into existence much before our statutory bodies like AICT, UGC. And that helps the Indian academic world in many, many ways. And in addition to that, in past, I've been director of 7 NITs, National Institutes of Technology, one School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi, and one university, Manipal University, Jaipur. This is my 14th year, which I'll be completing very soon in the next few days in terms of this kind of a role as a director or a vice chancellor of an institution. Very happy to join you here.
Very interesting journey. So the achievements when I looked at, and I was really amazed. And I'm always surprised when I see the Indian institutes are doing so great in this different aspects. There are a lot of new innovation coming from the universities. We are actually looking at IIT, Manipal, all that universities are contributing a lot in the Indian society, bringing a lot of new things and introducing great talents. When you see the professional education has changed a lot over the year, could you share your insight on the changes and what it means the student of professional courses going forward?
Yeah, Priya, I think the changes are, I would say, far too many. I won't be able to capture all of them or most of them, and also contextualize them, because what happened 50 years back, I cannot necessarily say definitely. But what happened 35 years back when I came into profession, I'll try to relate it to that and what is happening today.
For sure.
I would like to say that.
Yeah.
So I'll probably take some points discreetly, not necessarily in the logical order. Number one, I would like to say that when I became a teacher, our whole effort was right from our class number 1 to 40th or 45th class. Generally, a semester would be that much long.
Yeah.
To cover the syllabus. And once we cover the syllabus, there'll be a sigh of relief for students as well as for teachers that everything is covered.
Yeah.
This used to be the concept for us, but all of a sudden you can say the concepts have changed by 180 degrees. Today, our role is not to cover the syllabus. It is basically to uncover the syllabus, to bring out the potential of the subject we are teaching, to relate it to why it is important, how it is related to your past, and how it's going to be connected to your future is what we need to tell. And therefore, the classroom delivery, teaching, learning, etc., completely is changing from cover to uncover.
Yeah.
And it took time, by the way, for people like me also to understand this concept. Over the last 10, 15 years, I've been following that.
Yeah.
Similarly, the exams used to be very, very secretive, and in some cases still are very secretive. I'm sure you have appeared in some of them sometimes. Now it is going to be the open book examinations.
Right.
It's not going to be closed and secret. So examinations used to be singular examinations that you will appear in your examination and get grades. Now it is going to be group examinations.
Yeah.
You used to sit in examinations. Now you can give standing examinations.
Okay.
You used to write the examinations. Now you can speak in the examinations.
Interesting.
So many concepts are changing, which are there. I would also say that earlier we used to have course, curriculum, syllabus, everything decided. And then the institution with the lens starts searching for teachers who will teach that.
Yeah.
And eventually it will so happen that some tough subjects, there will be no teacher who will be ready.
Yeah.
And they'll be dumbed down some teachers. Right. So we didn't give any weightage to teachers. And we forced teachers to teach what might not have been their specialization. Right. Once again, that concept is also going to change. Rather than making teachers around the courses, now we have to make courses around the teachers. If Sandeep Sancheti is good in something and he goes to New South Wales University or somewhere, let's say, he should be allowed to teach what expertise he brings to the table. So that concept is also changing now. So similarly, I would say that the specializations which were offered earlier, whether it is the engineering or whether it is any other discipline of BCom, BSc, or Bachelor of Arts, they were very, very rigid. Now it is going to be open disciplines, multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, transdisciplinary kind of framework is going to be there. And the last point, if I can bring out in terms of change to you, these are the changes which I've seen over a period of 35 years.
Right.
And the last change I would say is the entire work, at least in India, in terms of what we were delivering as an education, was primarily regulatory body centric, what UGC or AICT said.
Right.
If I still diluted it in last few years, it became institute centric, that what the vice chancellor or senior professionals in the institute are saying.
Yeah.
Even if it percolated down to the lower level, it happened to be teacher centric, that what teacher is saying.
Right.
But it never became student centric in last 35 years.
Yeah.
Now it is time in India where we are talking about the student centricity, and student centricity is what we are referring to education 4.0.
Right.
Okay. And like industry 4.0, education 4.0 is a new set of things which we are discussing. And in last 40, 50, 60 years, I can say virtually we were in education 3.0 only. We didn't move. So education was a slow mover, but with technology and with various other things, it has become a fast changing game now.
Right. Right. So, I mean, government is working a lot recently on, government policies and all. And I mean, I have seen a lot of changes during my lifetime since I started schooling until now. Definitely we are producing better talent right now. So how important it is to include innovation and ethic in curriculums? Do you think innovation can be nurtured or is it inborn?
Difficult question, this one. One thing for sure, easy answer is that both both are very, very important.
For sure.
And currently, there is lack of both of these components called innovation as well as ethics in the education and in general in the society. We are very routine centric and tradition oriented. Our resistance to change is very, very high. And that is why the innovation coefficient or component is little low. Ethics also, for some reasons, if I'm talking in Indian context and some other countries, maybe it's pretty bad because the level of opportunities or number of opportunities are far too less than the seekers. And that's where the ethics also got distorted. But I don't think so there is anyone who in the world would deny that these are not important. The real challenge is how to inculcate these things as practice or embed them in their mind, that how important these are in long run in life. In short run, anything succeeds, but in long run, every other thing doesn't succeed. And therefore, in India, of course, there's a lot of emphasis now being given on ethics, value, various objectives, various mottos, and various other such messages which are there. And ethics, for example, I can do a lot of engineering, but will not be environmental centric or beneficial, then it will be wrong engineering. And therefore, we have started teaching ethics, values, and such courses in our first year, second year at the entry level, and lots of other optional courses which are there. And not only that, we are also doing things related to constitution and history, and maybe some related courses on environment and such things which are there to all the graduates, so that they become more broad-based and they understand these aspects very, very clearly. So ethics is getting delivered. How much of it will make an impact, time will only tell, because there are many other societal aspects which will actually impact the ethical practices. When it comes to innovation, yes, till some time back, 5 years back, I was a strong believer that innovation is something which cannot be taught. And by the way, India was on the cusp of setting up some 5-10 innovation universities, and I used to laugh at it. I still partly believe in that it cannot be taught, because innovation has to be practiced. Innovation has to be allowed as a mental thought process. Innovation has to be promoted by letting students ask why, what, when, how kind of things when they are getting educated and question everything. So to a large extent, it has not happened, but people have understood the importance of innovation. How to deliver it, innovation is still being questioned and being experimented with. Like in SRM itself, we are trying to partner with UC Berkeley and various other agencies within India to bring design concepts, the innovation concepts, the incubation concepts, the concepts of entrepreneurship, because they are all interwoven, they are all related to each other. If I do innovation, it has to see light of the day, it has to be useful to the public. And innovation, in my opinion, by the way, is also partly commercial. Invention is purely technical. Innovation, unless there is a value for money or return on investment in what you have done as an innovation, it doesn't work well. And therefore, it's part of the commercial world also. And therefore, innovation is a very comprehensive, big term, but it's now being followed and attempted in India in a very, very nice way. And a lot of our students, through hackathons, through various other competitions, through professional bodies, through everything possible within the class and special projects and special assignments, they are trying to do it. And therefore, I would say both are important. Both are integral to every aspect of our life, professional or non-professional education. However, to some extent, external conditions also define them beyond the education domain itself.
For sure. And I also believe that innovation is something, it comes from within, right? So if very few people have that kind of an extra IQ, and if they have, that should be facilitated. A lot of talent we have noticed in past that it didn't make as good as they could have because of the environment lack, facility lack, support. And major reason I noticed that it is more of a social context, like the society might not have supported as well as it could have been. But I also believe that innovation is something comes in our community. It's like a hardwired,
Can I add some value to it? While I agree to
Yes.
that, I have started believing that it can be nurtured also by exposing you to something, and by external conditions also it can be nurtured. We know Indian businessmen, they are there all over the world. They're hardwired for business, and business needs a lot of innovation. But the point I would like to say is innovation also has to do with the environment, conducive environment.
Yeah.
For example, if I come from an average family, my parents would expect me to take up a good job rather than worry about my innovation quotient, because
Yeah.
they need support from me. So the ecosystem makes a difference. But I'll not touch upon anything in the ecosystem. But one point which is very close to my heart, and I've written about it, is what I'd like to mention. In India, we lack what we call the risk-taking capacity or potential. We fear the failures.
Yeah.
We fear that if I fail with my innovation, what will society tell me, or what will my friends tell me, and they'll run away and they'll go ahead. We don't take pride in trying new things, but we are more wanting to be secure, and we are wanting to be away from failures, and that is what is imposing restrictions on our innovation.
Yeah, unfortunately, majority is thinking like that. But if somehow we can shift that paradigm, would be interesting to see how our whole society is turning around, especially the kind of educational system we are going forward. We are actually trying to implement the policy, the support system, the government, and even the parenting is also changing. So overall, I'm assuming that society is going to change and it's going to bring better talent in the future. I was reading World Economic Forum's data, and it says that India is like a youngest country, right? 70% people are less than 45 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
Youngest country, and we have youngest talent, but very it is a kind of a challenge that we are not preparing for the workforce in the education system as much as you should be. It's more of a theoretical, and also the serviceability we need to improve, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we will improve our serviceability, I think we will be more ready for world is actually seeing our talent. When I go, I live in Sydney, I recognize it as an Indian, and by nature people think that I'm good in maths and science, by default, things like that. So so the point I'm trying to make, that we have already created a perception that we value education, our society value education, right? But if we can change something and the education system can include that serviceability concept, I think it's gonna change the whole entire world, the way we are actually approaching going forward.
Yeah,
what do you say?
I agree with you on that. Certain things we do very, very well, and people's perception all over the world is clear on what Indians are, on their capabilities. But we need to be going into multiple dimensions. There are certain dimensions where we don't question ourselves, don't question the basic, don't question our teachers or certain practices. And that's where the little limitations creep into our potential of innovation.
Yeah, for sure. So that brings to my next question. What's your view on the shortfalls of the current educational system? Are the government not doing enough to create the next generation for technocrats or entrepreneurs?
This is something which is always going to be a debatable thing, Priya, because government will always try to do the best because they get recognition for that and they feel happy and comfortable about it. But every government would have the limitation.
Yeah.
India, being very diverse and very thickly populated, have different sets of challenge compared to some of the advanced countries where any new experiment can be attempted very easily. And if you fail, you can close it. And if you succeed, you can continue.
Yeah.
In India, failures are not accepted, and continuance of any big thing is not easy either.
Yeah.
And therefore, in technological terms, being a technologist, I call India suffers from a phenomena called non-linearity of scale of operation. Any scheme which I'll seed will suddenly, for a given input, the output will become saturated for that. It will become flat. If you see some of the curves and graphs which you draw, that you give more and more inputs, but the output remains to be the same kind of a thing. And that is what I call highly nonlinear. So non-linearity of scale in India is a challenge. The diversity is a challenge. The other challenges which I would possibly say is not necessarily related to government. I would say that for some right or wrong reasons, the teaching profession lost sheen in India, unlike many other countries, especially Scandinavian countries, where it is very highly regarded and rated. Actually, in India, I have done 14 convocations, as I was telling you, that I've been in this position.
Yeah.
And every time I tend to ask my graduating students that how many would like to become teacher.
Yeah.
I think a large number of them will laugh at my question.
Right.
Why am I asking this question? I should have known that they'll not become teachers. So our problem in teaching profession or educational setup right now is many teachers are teachers by chance and not by choice.
Yeah.
That is the biggest pitfall. And those by chance keep trying their hands here and there without focusing on the profession once they come to the profession. And therefore, they become second raters in terms of delivery, in terms of education. And that is how the education system suffers a lot. That is the second point I thought, in addition to non-linearity of the scale. And the third is, there are two more points, so I'll give you the third one.
Yeah, sure.
We don't have any projections as far as what is required in terms of education in India.
Right.
Forget about BA, BCom, BSc, which are generic degrees. But if I have to ask you that I want engineers and doctors, then how many engineers and how many doctors of what sort of specializations are required, and by which year? No such projections are available to us.
Yeah.
Nobody in the country has been able to do that or has attempted it very seriously. They might have attempted it, but no outcome, visible outcome from that. Yeah. As a result, we are always following the traditions and the trends which are happening world over. If IT is picking up, do. PT is picking up, do. Something else is happening, okay, create manpower for here, there. But for India-centric requirements, we don't have any projection. How many mining engineer, how many metallurgical engineer, how many mechanical engineer?
Yeah.
Forget that. These are old disciplines. If I talk of the new disciplines of engineering, like food technology, fire engineering, fashion technology, finance engineering or finance technology, we hardly know anything that these disciplines exist and what is needed in that. So without a target in mind, we are working. And obviously, with that, we don't necessarily achieve what we should have achieved or what potential is there. And the last is possibly, which was partly covered in innovation, that as of now, we are lacking a lot of creativity. We are not trained setters. We are not trained setters. And as a result, we are always following what the rest of the world is doing.
Yeah.
And that's why our education is maybe above average, but is still not the best. That is what is. But the government is doing its part, and particularly in NEP 2020, which is a new phenomena yet to be implemented fully. You can say that government is giving us enough degree of freedom or autonomy so that we can go ahead and do all that. And they are also going to make the regulatory framework very, very, very liberal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that will enable us in achieving better targets.
Yeah. I was reading that recent policy, and I am really amazed to see the changes is happening, which I always believed that it should have been done 20 years ago or something. Because if this policy is fully implemented, I have a faith that we are really going to par the world standard if we will implement it. And also education society will get much more liberal situation to create the scenario we were looking for. And the second point I would like to mention here, that research is, I feel like university should look it is a kind of a business anyway, right? So the education is not a normal, just a company or just an organization. It is becoming more business, and it is a business, right? So if you look at a business aspects, we should do and spend some time, and the expenses should go a little bit on the research. What kind of a talent we required going forward, where we are heading 2025 to 2030 and 50. So like I always believe, we should also, the education system should definitely force the whole education system. If this generation is gonna be out in 20 years down the line, what will be the profession required at that time, right?
Yeah.
At that time, not what we are teaching today, because the schools are not teaching what we require 20 years down the line.
Correct. Yeah.
So if I'm not preparing for future, how could we expect the talent will be ready to support the requirement coming up in the future, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it remains to be a challenge. Of course, all of us are aware of these kind of challenges, particularly the top leadership. And research also, like innovation, earlier we used to call R&D, research and development. These days I call it RID, research, innovation and development. And therefore, it gets related to innovation directly. Some of the points we already discussed. Ecosystem is what was not there. I still remember 15, 20 years back when I returned from UK in 1995.
Yeah.
I was trying to do many such things, and my colleagues in my own institution will laugh at me that this guy is trying to show off by doing research and something like that. That was the notion we had in some of the institutions, not all, some, not top ones. And therefore, this notion has changed. Now, everyone has accepted research to be an integral part of this. This policy is also saying that. And now we are appointing teachers for research. We are appointing people for research. We are giving pathways to our students for research right from second year, third year onwards. And we are doing purely research-based degrees. And in any case, the doctoral programs have been given a lot of emphasis in recent times, which are the seeding ground, breeding ground for the research which is there. The next thing which we require possibly in research is a good involvement of industry in that. Indian industry is right now not very much involved in innovation or their own developments. They are generally doing well, but they are doing well only for production, supply, maintenance kind of a thing by borrowed technologies and technologies transferred from wherever. But they are not having their own in-house requirements for that. Very few examples are there, like Tata's did for Nano and various others. Now Mahindras are doing a lot. So it's started happening. And I believe research will become a focus in times to come for us. In some of the good institutions like SRM, it's already there. In fact, 6 years back, we appointed 150 faculty members purely for research. Most of them had postdoc experience, and most of them had experience at least for 1 degree outside India. So that is the intention with which we are working now towards research. And as a result, some of us are doing well also.
So, I mean, I was looking into the PhD students here, and there are a lot of industry actually sponsor the students to do the innovation and research through the industry help. So it's actually scholarship is given by the industries. The project is for industry, but it is actually supported by the scholars as well. So it's really good handshaking from both sides, the educationists and the entrepreneurs, and it brings amazing achievements in Australian society when it comes to the innovation and future.
You are right. Our hands are coming closer, but it's still a little apart, I would say. But we are coming closer there.
So it's very interesting, and it will be interesting to see if we know that is when I say research, I would like to see when you do the research data that I need, say, 20 or 30 candidates for quantum computing. Like, government is spending how much, 52 million rupees or something, on the quantum computing. Google is actually already succeeding in some ways. But once it is launched, how many workforce is actually ready to support that kind of a technology, right? How much it is required to support that technology. So if I know, say I need 2,000 students or 2,000 workforce or 30,000 workforce, then we can actually start enrolling in the schooling system, and we
Yeah.
can
So
prepare
that's what
them.
I was saying, that the end point, what do we need at the outcome level? We have not specified right now in India.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
That planning is lacking. We have big plans of certain things, but in terms of manpower planning, our methods were not very, very well founded or well understood or very targeted.
Yes.
So
Yes.
hopefully someone would listen to what you have said, Priya,
Yeah.
and what I am saying, and hopefully it will change.
Yeah, I'm sure we will look forward to that change. But next question brings like skilled education is still concentrated in the cities. So do you think it is time to take it to the grassroots level? Also, how important is upskilling?
Okay, skilling, I would not necessarily agree to the point that it is limited to cities.
Mm.
I would say that yes, high-end skills may be limited to cities. I'll agree, but there are a lot of low-end skills. Maybe when you're looking up for a job where a plumber, someone is becoming plumber, or this thing, in certain contexts, it's considered to be a slightly different in terms of skilling. Or maybe you're a welder, or you may be whatever like that, carpenter and like that. So. I don't think so. Skilling is dividing the rural or the advanced or cities like settings.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing is the cities will have slightly better opportunities in terms of different kind of skills compared to the rural settings. And unfortunately, a lot of skills which are required right now are not necessarily hands-on skills alone. You, in addition to your hands-on skill, I've seen many students in my life whom I taught. They were not at all good in English. They were not at all communicative, but they were the masters of the trade, which I would probably expect them to be, let's say in electronic design. They will do just like that. Now, the problem is the complete set was not there, and therefore they did not probably flourish or do well or got recognition.
Yeah.
So in cities, you get a complete set. In the rural settings, you get a smaller set, what you can say. But I will still say India, in terms of its innovation, in terms of its skill, is still banking on the rural settings, and a lot of good things are coming from them, especially when I see the agriculture and rural household and various other things, the kind of innovations which I see going in public media are from there only. So I would not necessarily divide the skill into that sort of a thing, but I would still say that the skills, advanced skills are like maybe analytical skills, maybe communication skills, maybe problem solving skills, maybe something more of imaginative skills. They are certainly poor in the rural setting, and we need to take it to the grassroots level. We had an initiative long time back, 15 years back, of which I was a partner. It was called as a Grassroots Innovation Augmentation Network, GIAN. The meaning of GIAN is knowledge. So it was called as that. And we used to support many things. For example, a lot of young people would like to do the firecrackers during Diwali, which is approaching now, but young ones cannot light the big crackers. So there was a machine developed that they can light big crackers and still enjoy the thing safely. Similarly, a lot of us used to drink the Western tea or dip tea, which was made using the simple machines. But we also developed Indian tea vending machine, which will boil it and add milk and add masala and all that. So what I'm saying is these all came from the people from the low level of skills or rural skills which are there. And therefore, we need to nurture them. I'm sure government is taking a lot of institutions to those places. We ourselves are going there. For example, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, we own 8 villages, which we call under Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. Unnat is basically progressive India drive, you can say. Under that, we own 8 villages, and we support those 8 villages in everything which they want. Be it dealing with COVID, be it with food scarcity, be it with education, be it with environmental planning or road infrastructure, be it their education and greening, everything we try to do. We get support from India. We pool our resources as our institutional social responsibility, and we take it to them. So like that, you can say the rural India is now becoming better, is thriving. And
Yeah.
fortunately, the communication has gone, the TV has gone, the internet has gone, the mobile has gone, the transportation has reached Indian far corners of villages, and so is the electricity now.
Yeah.
And therefore, that rural and this gap is probably getting bridged. And person like me, given a chance next 5 to 10 years down the line, I will not be found in a city. I'll be talking to you if I get that chance from a rural setting, doing
Yeah.
something very, very different.
Yeah, very interesting. And to be honest, I am from the rural setting. So I grew up in a village. I came from the village. When I came to the city side, I have no English skill, and I'm in Australia. So it's it's the power of support, and it's the power of society gives you the enthusiasm, and the family support brings you to the level where you want to go if you are willing to do. I've been noticing there are a lot of YouTubers actually showcasing what different innovation. The people are not very educated, but they're doing something. Amazing YouTube videos are evolving from the rural setup. So
yeah, reason for that is they have uncluttered mind.
Yeah.
Your and my mind may be cluttered because we have been forced to grab so many things and we cannot think beyond boundaries. But they think beyond boundaries because they are uncluttered. And that is why India is going to thrive with their support and their work.
Yeah, and a lot of population is there, and they are, some people are just unstoppable, and their determination level is very high. So I'm sure we will see something. That brings to my last question. Online education is slowly replacing the conventional system of education. Do you think it is good or bad?
Good and bad is always contextual.
Yes.
Context can be of a country or a COVID situation or a personal thing.
Yeah.
Under the COVID situation, I doubt if anyone can say that online is bad. If online is bad, then let's just stop it and all of us will lose 1 year of our life sitting, doing nothing, getting frustrated.
Yeah.
I'm saying about these students basically. So under the circumstances, online is very, very good.
Yeah.
Okay? But that doesn't mean that the other avenues which we use for ages in education 3.0, conventional education is bad. No. I have understood education 1.0 to 4.0 all fully. Even the Gurukul style was very good. Even when the books and printing and other things happened, it was good. When the invent of IT and computers and internet happened is also good. And now with student centricity. And therefore you can say to support all these things which are there, we need all sorts of models. Whether I need a Gurukul model, some of the high tech and high top brass go in hibernation for a week, go on an island, sit with a guru, and guru teaches them. What is that? That is Gurukula only. Even now it is happening. And therefore, I wouldn't say that any form of education, whether it's a blackboard, a whiteboard teaching, or whether it is online, offline teaching, is wrong or right.
Yeah.
When it comes to Indian context, something went wrong with distance education because when it got opened up, we didn't have the regulations, rules, frameworks very clearly defining it. So it suddenly became a flooding kind of a thing. A lot of people thought this will be an easy opportunity for them to grab or go for degrees. They embarked on that, but the resultant was not very, very good. Institutions also didn't think seriously about that. And as a result, distance got a very, very bad name. And there was a body called Distance Education Council in India. You might have heard of that.
Yeah. That got part of it. Yeah.
That got dismantled some 5-7 years back because it did not function the way it probably could have. And with that bad name, the online education is also termed partly as the distance education, that you don't come in contact with teacher. So that also is suffering because of that impact of that erstwhile failure or bad name.
Sure.
The virtual also is facing the same kind of a fate, that virtual is not real, and obviously virtual is also distance in whatever. So that's also probably having the same thing. But now, having seen the COVID and COVID making you survive, you find that there is a value in this. So people have started taking distance, virtual and online in a very, very serious fashion. I have coined a word for all of them put together, and I call it as a flexible education. I want to get rid of the old and the unpopular names and call it flexible education. Why? Because this kind of an education has potential to teach me or make me learn anytime, anywhere, any mode, any language, any speak, various things which are there. Okay. And once it is there, so it becomes student dependent, that what students want. And therefore it's a student centric. And therefore you can possibly say that it will become popular amongst the students, and it will slowly replace the conventional methods. And therefore the online will be the new flavor of the times to come. Online will be a part of it. Distance will be a part of it. The face-to-face education will be a part of it. Various other things will become part of it. Even the skill and vocational education will become part of it. So suppose I'm trying to get a degree which requires 100% credit of a given program. I'll earn 20% from skill or vocational things, 20% from blackboard and contact teaching, 20% from distance, 20% from online, 20% from industry exposure or internship. And I'll make my 100 credits, and I'll come to my institution and say to my institution, here are my credits earned, give me a degree, and that will be given to me. And therefore online will become very, very popular in times to come. Fortunately, if you have noticed in Indian new education policy, there are two things which are indicating that. Number one is called as the ABC, Academic Bank of Credit, on which I am also working as a part of the UGC committee. And in fact, one of our meetings immediately after this interaction happens to be of that committee. So Academic Bank of Credit means I can transfer credit, carry forward credits throughout my life, and become a lifelong learner. That is what possibly will make my education very blended, and online will be an integral part of it, and there will not be any challenge. And this stigma which online or distance has right now probably will be wiped off, maybe wiped off earlier if it is called as a flexible education, because I can do the same education from 20 to 80. At 80 years of age also, I would like to study, read something new which is coming. And therefore, I need not go to class, and online will be my main source for studying rather than going to class.
And if you're a lifelong learner, like I am a learner. So I like to read at least a book a week, That's my personal choice for a long time. It's been 20 to 30 years I've been doing it. If I look at that credit wise, I have done so many certification and all, but the technology got outdated. I have no credit for that, but that's going to definitely help people to value add in themselves.
Yeah, the second thing in this dimension which I was trying to refer to is even the skilling in the laboratory part can be done virtually. And there is a thing called virtual labs, which we started 10 years back, but now it is going to be more well accepted in the country. It wasn't earlier, people didn't like, but now they understand the importance of this. These two things put together, and these two are the good indicators from the NEP, which tells us that the online will be the new world for education.
Very interesting. So in your word, I would like to ask, what's the success? What would you like to define a success to the younger generation, and the students coming out to the workforce?
Okay. One thing, the students, I do not know whether they would like to listen to this or not, because they have their own ways and means to define what is success. I'll do it in two ways to talk about success. First is I'll negate what success should not have. So one thing we should certainly say that success is not necessarily perfection.
Yeah.
Okay. Success is always a journey, contributing effectively. It's not one single thing you have done and you have called it success. That's fine, but it's basically a journey.
Yeah.
Success is more of doing and attempting right things.
Yeah.
Whether you get the result or not, but doing and attempting right things is whatever is there.
Yeah.
In any case, we know success is opposite of poor performance, but I will not peg it to that. Poor performance is part of life. Sometimes it will happen. When head comes, the tail will also come. They go hand in hand. Good goes with bad, white goes with black, signal goes with noise, and so on and so forth. And therefore, I will say success is when you can take your failures in your stride, is what I would like to define my success. If I can absorb my failures in my work, that will become my success. I have to cover my failures and I'll become successful, even if I have to attempt it 5-10 times. And I have a special phrase which I coined some time back, some 5 years back, which consists of 5P, which I follow in my life. And that is my mantra for success. And that is poor planning. You can say proper planning in this case. It can be said both ways. Proper planning preempts poor performance. Proper planning obviously delivers the right results, and therefore all the 5Ps, proper planning preempts poor performance. That is my success mantra. I have failed many times, but I have come back with the success in the same issue with more attempts and with better plan. And that is what I'll try to define success as.
And I think true creativity and innovation comes from the failures, and because any science project cannot be finished if you are not failed 100 times and succeeded at one time.
So you learn more from your failures than from instant successes.
For sure.
Instant successes are recipes for long-term failures. But couple of failures are recipes for long-term success. Is what
for sure. So that brings to our end, and people can find you, and I'll be putting all your details, university details, in our description. People should be reaching you out, universities, to ask their questions in detail. Thank you so much for joining today, and I'm pretty sure this is gonna be really valuable, especially your 5Ps. People should listen and follow that one. Thank you so much for joining in today.
Thank you, Priya, for this opportunity. I hope our conversation will be of some use to someone, but I'll be very happy to receive comments or suggestions or ideas, or if I can help anyone through offline mode also, please let me know. I'll be happy to do my part.
So
thank you.
Guys, don't forget to like, share, and comment on that below, and ask questions. We are ready to answer your questions. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you. Namaskar.